education. I help professionals like you communicate their value to find great opportunities faster, whether you're working or not. Good to have you. Today is Career Happy Hour, as always, Friday, 3 p.m. Pacific time. We are joining you live to answer questions about career. That could be networking, interviewing, market planning, anything related to LinkedIn. For whatever reason, people consider me a subject matter expert on LinkedIn, and I appreciate that. So happy to take those things. Let me know where you're joining from, and can you hear me? Often we have a challenge with the audio, and hopefully there's no audio challenges here today. Wow, it looks like we already have somebody in the waiting room here. Let me see. Good to have you, Terry. Good to see you. Good to see you, everybody. Welcome. So what I would suggest is access the chat. Let me know where you're joining from. Put your, thank you, Terry. Put your LinkedIn profile address there so that people can connect with each other. What we find is this is a community. This community is here to support each other. And if we put our LinkedIn profile addresses in the chat, it's going to give us a chance to cross-pollinate, to connect with other people, and to have an opportunity to make a difference, one person at a time. The biggest challenge we have today with the pandemic and everything going on is networking. It seems to be, at least to me, that people have this perception that there's roadblocks. I'm here to eliminate the roadblocks. I want you to put your profile in the chat, and anybody that puts their profile in the chat is 100% open to being contacted and having a networking conversation with anybody else that does the same. So I will leave that up to you. I will leave that up to you. Thank you, Tony. Good to see you. Lori, good to have you. Welcome. It is Career Happy Hour. We call it that because every Friday, 3 p.m. Pacific time, we all get together here, and I'm here to answer your questions. If you want to come on live, you can do that. You'll come up side by side with me. We'll have a chance to answer any questions that you have on the fly. If you have a burning question in your mind for which you need support, I am happy to provide support, perspective, and perhaps look at things a little differently so we can move your process forward. Move your process forward. There's no right. There's no wrong. There's no up. There's no down. There's just a next step. One step is all we need. One step in a direction to make change. Here we go. Today, by the way, if you're on LinkedIn or some other platform, look down below the video. There's a share button here. I come here every Friday. I'm here to support you. I'm 100% committed to that. All I ever ask is that you share the broadcast. That's it. Every Friday, 3 o'clock p.m. Pacific time. Good. Welcome. Detroit, Michigan in the house. Excellent. Yes, put your LinkedIn profile address in the chat, and you will have people connect with you and ask you for a conversation. Okay? That's what I expect. And we did a few weeks ago. I don't know if any of you participated in this, but it was the person a day challenge. Could you talk to one new person every day, and what were your results? Let me know in the chat. Did you take that challenge? Have you executed on that challenge? If so, I want to hear some results. What came out of that? Did you get any interviews? Did you get some confidence? Did you meet some new people? Did you get a perspective? Let me know what your results are to the person a day challenge. I'm just going to reach out and have a conversation with one new person every day. That's it. Okay. Good. Thank you, everybody, putting your profiles in the chat. Appreciate that. Let me see if I can get over to the live stream here on LinkedIn. The challenges with Restream, my service provider, they don't allow chats to go back and forth from LinkedIn. That's unfortunate. But there is a link in the description on LinkedIn. There's also a LinkedIn, YouTube, and Periscope and Facebook. Wherever you're joining from is fine. Where you can come on live. It's in the description above. It says, hey, come on live and get coaching. What does it say? Free coaching, blah, blah, blah. Join this stream live for free video coaching. That's what it says. Join the stream live for free video coaching. And so I will put that in the chat once more so that you can see it both on LinkedIn and on the other platforms. So you'll see that. Good to have y'all. Thank you for liking and sharing this broadcast. We want to get more people involved if we can. And I know that we can. I hope that we can. And it's because you're sharing this and commenting and liking and making it possible for everybody else. Okay. Everybody else. So let me get to a spot here where I can share some thoughts. By the way, if you have any questions, put those in the chat. I will answer them as we go along here. But the thing I'm thinking about today is, I don't know about your state, but our state seems to be, I want to say this the right way, schizophrenic at best, bipolar at worst in their policy on COVID-19 and how we should behave during these times. And that's creating unrest in a lot of the people I'm coaching. It's making them reluctant to reach out and have conversations with people, whether they're working or not. I mean, just because you're working doesn't mean you're insulated from the virus, from the pandemic. Quite the opposite. You're probably impacted more because you're separated from your colleagues. So you're well, I shouldn't say more. Equivalently. Good. Person a day challenge. Looks like Praveen has gotten some results. Good to hear it, Praveen. Let me see here. Praveen has 5 consistently. Took and got selected 2 this week. Excellent. Right. So here's the thing. When we do this process, person a day challenge, we meet people, we practice our stories, we improve our communications. It allows us to perform well in things like interviews. And the key critical success factor on interviews is your capacity to communicate your value with confidence. And confidence only comes through repetition, at least in my mind. Knowing who you are and communicating that confidently, that's where you win. That is where you win. Looks like we have a Kevin Riley in the waiting room. If he wants to come on live, Kevin, I think there's a private chat here. Let me give that a whirl, shall we? Kevin, do you want to come on live? So if you want to come on live, just click the link in the chat or the description. There's 2, either or, both and. It's in both places. Good. We got some folks for good. Okay, so that's fine. I will get you the link to the broadcast, Kevin. It's typically, if we're connected, and we probably are, there's likely a notification that comes up. There's no permanent link. You would just have to know to be here and look for me to come live every Friday at 3 and check my profile. I think that's the best way. I don't know that there's any way to do an event like this. I'd have to do it every week. It's a pain. Okay. It's a PAIN. Okay. So that's what I'm thinking about today. I'm thinking about pandemic, networking, making it happen. And so let's think through some ideas here. Now, I'm not suggesting and I'm not advocating for anything you're not comfortable with. If you're not comfortable meeting people in person, then don't. Guess what? We're all on equal footing that way. If you want to reach out to somebody and have a conversation by phone, fine. If you want to reach out to somebody and have a chat exchange on LinkedIn, fine. What we're talking about here is do something. Do something to reach out to people and have a conversation. Do something to reach out to people and make a contribution. These are things that we actually cover and talk a lot about in the networking checklist. Now, if you want a networking checklist, it's on my website, andrewbeach.com. If you just go to the webpage, the main page there, you will see that there is an opportunity there for you to download a networking checklist. I find that really helpful. I don't know about you, but once in a while, it's nice to have something that's kind of foolproof and capable of putting you in the right place and giving you consistent results. So that's the first one. That's on my website, andrewbeach.com. The other one, and these are free resources, by the way, we're not charging for any of that. The other one is The Anatomy of a Networking Conversation. It's an ebook. It's on my website for the podcast. I have a podcast. It's called Job Seekers Radio. And if you go to jobseekersradio.com, there is an opportunity there for you to download The Anatomy of a Networking Conversation. Now, how you execute that is up to you. And here's the thing, is that pandemic or no pandemic, people still want to have a conversation. They still want to connect. They still want to be part of a community. And so the thing I would encourage you to do is reach out to people that are in the chat here. I see a lot of good people that can help you. Okay. A lot of good people that can help you if you want to be helped. Now, again, not everybody wants to be helped, and help is kind of a challenging word for a lot of us. I know it's hard for me to ask for help, but if I reached out to somebody and asked for it, would they give it to me? Would they help me? Yes, they would. More often than not, I do my best. I recognize that I meet and interact with a lot of people, and I can't help everybody. I wish I could. I can't. So that's the reason I have something like this. This is an opportunity for me to help you in a group setting where I can impact more people. And if you know other people that are stuck or having challenges in their search or unsure about how to move forward, any of those things, have them come here. Recommend that they attend. Get them engaged. Get them engaged in this process. Okay. And so that's what I really think about doing for each one of us. Okay. Each one of us. How can we make a contribution to another person in a positive way, if you know what I mean? So if that's you, let me know what ideas you have in the chat, and I'm happy to share those. Okay. Let's see. Sorry if I'm asking an unrelated question. Let's see. There is okay. So question in the chat from LinkedIn user. Unfortunately, some of you need to open up your privacy settings so that third-party apps like this one can see who you are. Sometimes if you have your privacy settings too tight, it won't see who you are. So I have to come over here to LinkedIn to see the chats. So unfortunately, that's just life, I suppose. Okay, so looks like it's from Elizabeth. What about resources on becoming a freelance web developer? Wow, that's a great question. So freelance web development, I think part of that is unique to the ecosystem that you're a part of. And so LinkedIn is a good place to do some of that networking and outreach and finding people in a specific niche that you want to interact with. And that's true of anybody, whether they're looking for a job or they're looking for opportunities to do freelance work. But there are resources that you can leverage. One of them I think is called Upwork. There's another one called Fiverr. It used to be $5 to do things there, but I think they've changed that motto, and now you can do more than that. There's a lot of resources you can take advantage of for that purpose. But generally speaking, if you're going to do freelance work and you want it to be consistent, you need to get really good at networking with people who may need your services and identifying a niche that you want to participate in. So let's say, for example, that's realtors. And the niche you want to be in is helping realtors position themselves to as the home office specialist, right? So people are working from home, they're homeschooling. So you have to create some kind of a niche for yourself. And so that requires branding. So the funny thing is, job search and finding freelance work, guess what? It's not much different. It's not much different. You're doing the same effort in the same kind of ways. You're just having different outcomes, and your pay isn't coming in at W-2. It's coming in direct payment or 1099 or things of that nature. So I would also maybe look if anybody has resources for contractors. So, I mean, if you just want to be a contractor, there's, staffing agencies that would be good to look at as well. Terry, if you know any of the technical staffing agencies, maybe you could connect with, who is it? I saw a name here. Elizabeth Hindash. If you could connect with her, Terry, I would appreciate that. That would help me out a lot, because Terry is a good resource here in the team, in the community. He's connected in HR, and he knows a lot of the staffing agencies. So Leif is another guy that you might talk to. He's a software developer. He's in the chat as well. Good to have you, Leif. Good to see you. Let's see. Yeah, so there's no right or wrong to this thing. If you want to approach it, Deborah, from that perspective, if you're reaching out, if you have a rich history and a lot of connections, a lot of times you don't have to reach out to new people. You can reach out to people you know and present something like a marketing plan. Here's some target companies. Here's what I'm interested in doing. And that is an easier way to go about it. I always advocate to start with people you know first. And that is a great way to practice and that sort of thing. But she's talking about her areas of genius. Of course, she's talking about the Great Leap. I think that's Hendricks. I can't remember the first name. Gay Hendricks. Anyway, he wrote a book called The Zone of Genius, right? There's Zone of Excellence and then there's Zone of Genius. So it's good to focus on your zone of genius. Not that you wouldn't work inside your zone of excellence, but there is a difference. Good. Developing a brand is still a work in progress. Good. Work on it. Here's the thing. The beauty of networking is so profound. Here's the thing. You not only get a chance to practice your communications, you get clarity around your brand. You have a chance to maybe impact somebody that they accept your message and take it to the world. There's so many benefits to networking that people miss. Maybe you don't know what your brand is. Great. That's exactly why you should network. Maybe you have never networked before and you're looking for an easy base hit, if you will. Great. Reach out to everybody you know and just say, hey, I'm starting off new in this networking thing and would appreciate your support. Help is hard for a lot of people. So support, advice, suggestion, information, practice, right? These are things that are okay. And you don't have to say help in order to get those things. Good. So keep it up, Deborah. Person a day doesn't have to be somebody new to you. It just needs to be somebody new. Now, somebody new could be subject to interpretation, but in my view, it's somebody you probably haven't talked to in at least 6 months. So 6 months, if you talk to him in the last 6 months, then consider that a follow-up conversation, which are also valid because there's, what do they say, 50 hours to create a new friend. So there is value in that. So stick with it. Person a day doesn't have to be somebody new to you. It just needs to be somebody new that you haven't talked to in the last 6 months. Otherwise, it's a follow-up conversation. Good. So Linda took the challenge. Excellent. Thank you, Linda, for taking that challenge. Let's see. My leadership style: tact, take risks, ask questions, show confidence, thank others, follow up for next steps. Good. Yes. If you have a framework that works for you, keep using it. The idea here is very simple, is to do things that make you uncomfortable until they become comfortable. That's really it. A lot of us just aren't that excited or even, how would you say it? Inclined to network because we like it. It's often we don't like it because it's uncomfortable. And if we make it comfortable, then it becomes easier. And when it becomes easier, we can then really grow past what our limits might actually be. Good. Excellent. Yes. Let's see. On my wall, if anyone is looking for help or need more reach, I am either liking or commenting on their posts. Good. Excellent. So that, the nice thing is if you do those likes and you get these little breadcrumbs across the platform, you start showing up in searches. But, the other side of this, and I hadn't thought about that, but is that there's a lot of people that are posting group events on LinkedIn. Okay. Now, if you weren't aware, there's a new category for search on LinkedIn called events. And if I searched for, say, freelance software on LinkedIn, hey, maybe I'll just do that right now. How about that? Live freelance software. I'm just putting in that keyword and I'm going to search by events. And look at that. There's 8 events. I can put this in the chat, I suppose. Why don't we do this? I'm going to go ahead and this is something I think is really helpful for a lot of us. So I'll go back and we'll start over. I'll share my screen if that's okay with you guys. And we'll look at this from a new perspective, shall we? So I'm going to go to this one here, share that screen, and then I will make this. I think this is how it works. No, that's not how it works. Maybe I do this one. No, I want to do this one. There we go. All right. Sorry, let me get rid of the captions. That can be annoying. So here's my LinkedIn page. I'm going to type in freelance. Oh, there it is. I already had it up. Freelance software. Okay. Now, when I type in freelance software, I get the chance here to filter by events. Okay. And look at this. Sunday, November 15th. Guess what? That's this Sunday. If I wanted to get with women in digital, freelance people, look at this. 2,400 people are going to be at this event. Okay. 2,400. That's a pretty darn good event, I would say. So I would take a look at that. If you're the freelance software development type, great. Okay. Train the online trainer of the 21st century, maybe not. I'm not familiar with what that is. It looks like it's in German. Okay. The future of work, cybersecurity in the age of Zoom, conversational AI, trainer talk, webinar. That looks like that looks like Spanish. So it's in varying languages. So perhaps you use your best judgment there. But this one for sure. I mean, to have an event on LinkedIn, have that kind of attendance, 2,400 people, that's been well produced. That would be my guess. And here's all the speakers that are part of it, etc. So, I mean, this might be something that's interesting to many of you. If it is, great. If it's not, that's okay too, I suppose. But the idea here is COVID is creating some limitations, yes, but don't allow the limitations to stop you, okay? Do not allow the limitations to stop you. Now, if any of you, by the way, want to come on live, you can do that. Just click the link in the description to come on live. I'm happy to do that. Happy to have a conversation with you. And good. So see, you know what the beauty of this community is? Connection, community connection. To do this, all we have to do is say yes. Is it easier to say yes than it is to say no? I think so. No creates boundaries. No creates barriers. No creates friction. I would say yes. Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate that. Yeah, it's The Big Leap. If you have not read that book, I'd recommend it. It's an easy read. You'll probably read it in a couple of days. Not very long, very easy to understand, I think on purpose. And I would definitely, that would be one that I would recommend. So absolutely. Yes, you're welcome. Obviously, I'm here for your benefit. I'm here to support your success in any way I can. And if you're the type that wants to come on live, we can do that. Otherwise, put your questions in the chat. What are they? What questions do you have? How do you want to move forward today? Have you met some people? Are you taking the person a day challenge? Okay. I'm going to drop another challenge here today, and I think that's volunteering. It's the holidays, or at least we're headed into the holidays. There's really only about 6 weeks left in the year. Here's a chance for us to give back to the community. What are you going to do? Are you going to participate in a food drive? Perhaps it's the Salvation Army. Maybe you decide it's Habitat for Humanity. Maybe it's homelessness. Maybe you're just going to put together some homeless kits for people in your community to hand out. I don't know. There's not a lack of need. We know that. There's only a lack of people to contribute. So outside of the person a day challenge, what can you do to give back, to be a positive arbiter, a positive force in your community? Why do we do that? Well, we do that for ourselves, not just for the other people. We do that for ourselves because guess what? We get a shot of oxytocin. And if you don't know what that is, look it up. Much better than dopamine. Okay. Oxytocin is something you want in your body. It's positive. It improves your immunity. So for those of you who might be concerned about your immune function or concerned about being around people that are ill, one way to get over that is to contribute something to somebody else. Although, use your best judgment. If you don't want to get around people, or you feel like exposing yourself in that way isn't appropriate, then don't do it. But that doesn't mean you can't do something. We should do something. We should do something. We should reach out to one person a day. We should give back to the community in any way we can. What is that for you? Let me know in the chat. I'd like to see, what are you going to commit to giving to give back? Outside of monetary contributions, right? Those are always appreciated and are great. But what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do to give back? What group events are you going to participate in this holiday season? Now, LinkedIn groups or LinkedIn events isn't the only page, right? You could look Eventbrite. I think Eventbrite is a wonderful resource. Okay. So if you're the type of person, right, that really would like to have an online event, or to approach this from an online perspective around, let's do this. Let's do it here. Freelance software development. Right. So if I put freelance software development into Eventbrite, look at this. I've got online events till who knows when, all the way all the way through to November of, let's see, November, January, right? I'm seeing a lot of information here. Date. We could say, hey, show me in the next week. Okay. Here are all the online events. Okay. There's now the other one I mentioned, I think for you was Upwork. So I think it's upwork.com if I remember right. Yeah, Upwork. In-demand talent on demand. Upwork is how. So this is just an exchange. I'm not advocating it or promoting it, but it is a place where you can find opportunity. Okay. You could also look at meetup.com. Okay. Meetup, I think was actually acquired by a company. I can't remember who it was. Oh, it's those people who do those virtual offices, WeWork. How cool. I mean, how strategic was that when WeWork acquired Meetup? I mean, I thought that was genius, but now that we're in a pandemic, that could be questionable. Anyway, things to think about there. There's no lack of ways to do the networking during COVID. Okay. There's we could easily come up with 1,000 excuses on why we should not network or why we shouldn't or why it's so difficult. Why don't we create equally a list of 1,000 reasons why we should network and how we can make it easy and answer those questions from a positive frame of mind or perspective. I think that's a lot more productive. What was the other one I saw? Well, at least in Portland, I don't know how many of you are in Portland, but one that I think it's calligator.org. One that I recommended in a meeting this week is Calligator. Now, I think this is just Portland. It looks like they have a blog and a forum, but you can see here, there's a Linux clinic. There's all kinds of things. Thai, Oregon. If you're not familiar with Thai, I think that's, this is for entrepreneurs. So if you're an entrepreneur, this is another way to get involved. The other thing to consider, and if many of you are interested, is Toastmasters. Toastmasters, all of their groups have gone online. Okay. So if you're interested, I would absolutely click find a club and then offer a list of clubs around your radius. So maybe your radius is near me. I'm going to block that for the moment. And hey, here we go. Search. Well, it's not picking it up. But anyway, I think you get my idea, right? Is that there's 1,000 ways and 1,000 reasons we could do or not do something. I'm really going to focus on what are the 1,000 reasons I should do something or could do something. And if I'm maybe thinking, I don't know why this is showing up. Let me put, Beaverton, Oregon. Maybe it's not picking that up. There we go. Sorry about that. A little distracted here today. There we go. There's Portland. And so if I'm looking around and I'm saying, okay, over here you can see is a Nike campus, right? So if I'm over here and I know Central Beaverton has a Nike campus, where is it? Here it is. Okay, so this is Nike campus. Guess what this is? That is a Toastmasters club at Nike. If that was one of my target companies, where would I go? I'd go to that one, or maybe here's another one. A West Beaverton club, Tuesdays at noon. Okay, I could go to that one. Here's another one. Silicon Forest, right? Here's another one. Well, if I can get there, sorry about that. I make it smaller, make it larger. What do I have to do? But here's another one. There's a whole bunch of Toastmasters clubs in Portland. Guess what? There's probably a whole bunch of Toastmasters clubs in your area too. All right. So the Google is your friend, right? The Google is your friend. I could find a food bank. I could find a Salvation Army. I could find Loaves and Fishes. I could find Habitat for Humanity. I could find 1,000 things. I could go to the school district. Guess what? A lot of school districts have run out of funding and support from nonprofits to provide meals to their students and families. And I mean, there's a lot of reasons and a lot of ways to actually offer yourself as a pro bono resource to somebody else to establish value for yourself, right? To give you a shot of oxytocin and to create a new friendship, to create a new relationship that's authentic, right? So think about it from that perspective. There's a lot of ways to do this, folks. There's no right or wrong. I'm trying to give you some ideas on how you should open your mind and think that the pandemic is not a condition. It's a hurdle, yes, but it's not a roadblock. You can go around, over, through said roadblock if you choose to do so. Now, that the question for you is, do you choose to do so? And if we know that 85% of the opportunities come from the informal social contact called networking, then perhaps we ought to believe that that's the case. Okay. So what does that mean? Well, here is, and this is from 2016, by the way, and these numbers have not changed. Okay. So I will share it with you now, if that's okay. But here it is. And this is from Lou Adler. So I don't know if many of you are familiar with Lou Adler, but he did a survey, not on his own, but with the top 5. I think it was the top 5. What was it? The people who do the applicant tracking systems, right? He took like some of the top applicant tracking system companies and he did a survey. Okay. And here it is. 85% of all jobs are filled via networking. 85%. This is not anecdotal evidence, folks. This is real data. Okay. He's been asking people about it. And here's a link to the survey. Now, I've tried to get that survey, but I can assure you, Lou Adler doesn't have the technology figured out. And that's not a knock on him. It's just the way it is. To get that survey is problematic. I've never been able to get a copy of it, even though I gave him my email. Anyway, and so that the sample size is only 3,000 people, but here you can see a distribution. And so here you are, if you're underemployed or unemployed, 47% of unemployed find it through the networking, 40% found it through applications. So this is really giving you an indicator on time invested in other opportunities. Now, my suspicion is if you broke these two out, these numbers change. If you broke underemployed and unemployed out into separate categories, that would change. Okay, so for those of you who are maybe not so connected to that, I get it. Oh, looks like there's another Kelly here in the chat. Let me see here. Kelly, do you want to come on live? I'll put a little chat in the private room there. If not, I can put the link to this. Let me grab this link again if I can. And then I'll put it in the chat so you can have it. Because some people come to this and all they have is the link to join on Restream. So if that's you, Kelly, I'm happy to bring you on live. Just make sure you close your LinkedIn window if you're going to be here in Restream. Any of you are welcome to come on live, even if you want to. Okay. Yes, you can listen in. That's fine, Kelly. Absolutely. But I put a link in the chat there. If you want to just join on LinkedIn, that's fine too. You don't have to be in the Restream either way. But good. Yes, Toastmasters. You're right, Terry. I mean, I had Cleon Cox here on a few weeks ago, and he is a great advocate for Toastmasters. And I agree. It's a great resource. It's an opportunity for interview prep. And a lot of the people I've met in, thank you, Kelly, appreciate that. Many of the people I've met through Toastmasters were more than willing to go above and beyond to help me get better. So if that's you and you need to get better at communications, specifically interviewing, one of the things I always recommend is sign up for Toastmasters, number 1. And number 2, practice your stories. What are your stories? Your anecdotal evidence of success. And that's great. Good. Are there any other questions here? I know I've been talking for about half an hour. If you'd be so kind as to share this out with your network, that would be great. Every single platform I'm on, whether it's LinkedIn or Periscope or YouTube or Facebook, there is a share button there. And I'd really appreciate it very much if you would share out to everybody. Okay, please. I would appreciate that. Good. I don't see any questions here. I didn't really have much else to share. Been a busy week for me. A lot of things going on health-wise in our extended family. So, any thoughts and prayers you might have for that would be appreciated. But hopefully that'll be resolved by the weekend, and we can move forward. And the holidays are coming. had a birthday last week. Many of you wished me happy birthday, and I do appreciate that. Thank you. I really do. In fact, that's one of the things I recommend people do on LinkedIn. One of the advanced things that you can do is actually take a video with your mobile device and send a personalized a greeting, happy birthday in your own voice in video. And I find that to be much more personal than just sending a happy birthday message. The other thing you could do on a birthday actually is endorse somebody's skills or provide them a recommendation. How hard is that? I mean, how great would it be on your birthday to get an endorsement and a recommendation? I think that's valuable. If it's in your power to do it, should you? Probably. If it's in your power to do it, I would do it. Absolutely. Good. Thank you, Teresa. Appreciate that. We can always appeal to a higher power, if you know what I mean. And that's what we're doing. Good. Any other questions out there? Anything at all? Or if you want to come on live, there's a link in the description here. You're welcome to click that link and come into Restream, and we'll have a conversation right now. Now it's funny, but I don't know if you noticed, but I put in the chat, right here. Networking ninja. Somebody called me once a networking ninja, and I thought that was really interesting. I don't know if it's true, but somebody called me that because, I really take this stuff to the next level. And I think one of the things that I have in terms of next steps for myself and my business is to create maybe a learning program around how to do networking at a higher level. So stay tuned for that. I mean, if you're interested in it, it's fine. I'm not expecting anybody to buy it, but if you are interested in that kind of thing, you're welcome to send me a message or let me know if you're interested in having any kind of training program. If so, what training program would you like to have? And what is the most difficult challenge you've had in executing your search? I know there's a lot of people here firsthand, I know, that have been looking for a while. Okay. I don't like to see that. I don't like to see pain. That's why I'm here, is to alleviate your pain as best as possible. Okay. Good. So, I mean, Tony, yeah, I mean, you have to take all these things into consideration that if you're going to volunteer, and you have to self-quarantine for 2 weeks, but, these are the things that we have to take in consideration, is not the conditions of should we or should we not, but how can we? How can we without having to self-quarantine? Now, that means that there's plenty of things you can do on your own or offline that don't involve other people. But that gives you the chance to interact with other people in scheduling that thing, right? Like, what would you call it? So if I was in a position to rake, here's an idea. You could call your local jurisdiction. Sometimes that's the police department, or probably adjacent to the police department, where they've identified distressed homeowners that can't care for their yard. Okay. This is just an idea. I'm speaking out loud. And often they'll have volunteers come in and clean up that space. Okay. So what does that mean? Right now, I mean, we've had a really big rainstorm here in Portland. What do you think has happened to all the leaves in every single neighborhood around us? They're on the ground. Okay. They're on the ground. So maybe you just write up a little, a gift from Tony, your neighbor, raked up your leaves. Happy holidays, right? You don't interact with anybody. You leave a note and you do the work. Okay. I'm just saying there's ways you can make it happen without having to isolate yourself that way. Okay. Good. Praveen says, I recently talking to my colleagues and they are talking the topic, how to change their career path from technical role to manager roles. What would be the suggestion you would throw on this? Yes. Every chance you get. So here's the thing. If you're already working, you need to advocate for that. You need to be a leader. You need to be the leader you wish you had. Okay. Now that means what? I need to learn a new set of skills. I need to learn how to motivate people that don't report to me. That's project management, but it's also leadership. I need to know how to mentor and support others over myself. Because here's the challenge with leadership, folks, Praveen, is that most leaders I know are the last to take credit and the first to take the hit when things go wrong. So you're the one that takes all the heat and the last one to get credit. So a lot of people want to be managers, but they don't recognize management is much different than leadership. And just managing people and managing projects and all that, that's all academic and commoditized. What is not commoditized is leadership. There is a leadership vacuum today in the world. There are so few people willing and able to be the first to give away credit and the first to take any heat when things go wrong. Take all the responsibility, even though it's not your burden to bear, right? So we could talk about leadership if you like, but the idea here is you need to start educating yourself on leadership, educating yourself on how to motivate people that don't report to you, how to lead up the organization and influence people. Okay. Yeah, it's quite different. Thank you, Terry. Excellent. Good. Yeah. Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate that. You learned the birthday trick from Harvey Mackey, Swim with the Sharks, The Envelope King. Current book is You Haven't Reached Your Peak Yet. Recommend. Good. Yeah, I mean, reading books is a good thing. Now, Harvey Mackey is he the one that wrote Dig Your Well Before You're Thirsty? I don't remember. But I mean, here's the thing. I've read a lot of books on why you should network, and they're all valid, right? They all do an exceptional job of telling you why you should network, but they give you surface level advice on how to do it. Very surface level. Well, you should do this and you should do that, but they don't give you a how. How do you do that? How do you do networking effectively to generate opportunity? There's only one book I've run into that's done that. And I'm sure there's others, but there's only one that I've read. I've got another one on my list here. I think it's like the 1 hour network, something or other. Anyway, I got to go check it out. I'm going to probably order that book as soon as we're done here. So good. Let's see here. Question for the group. While unemployed, I'm trying to get hooked up with the Oregon unemployment training. First, does anyone know what the program is called? It's new from last period of unemployment. Second, person one said person two would follow up. I've been ghosted for 2 weeks. Any other strategy than keep pinging number one? So those are two questions. Thank you, Deborah. I appreciate you for asking. So the UI training used to be facilitated through WorkSource, and I think that's still happening. It's just not happening on a site, as far as I know. So the people that are on Oregon employment benefits are facilitated through WorkSource, and WorkSource is probably doing all those trainings virtually. So you'll have to connect with WorkSource Oregon. Good. I'm not sure what the program is called. I used to facilitate a training for WorkSource for LinkedIn, but yeah, I'm not aware. Person one said person two would follow up. I've been ghosted for 2 weeks. Any other strategy than pinging number one? Ping number one, ping number two, knock on another door. Okay. So here's the thing is that not everybody that we reach out to is going to say yes. And not everybody we reach out to is going to respond. Now, if the people you're talking about are in talent acquisition, shame on them. And I think Terry would back me up on that. Okay. So the idea here is we should hold talent acquisition to a higher standard of candidate experience. And I'd love to see that happen. I just don't think it will. So we also need to embrace reality. And that is ghosting is not about you. It's about them. And you can't control that side of the equation. Just like you can't control when are they going to interview? When are they going to make a decision? When are they going to onboard? When are they going to send me an offer? Guess what? You don't control that process. And it's frustrating, I know, but you do control your daily activities. So if that one's good, I can guarantee you there's one that's better. Always. If you never think that there's anything better than what you have, you're fooling yourself. There's always something better. Even though I like what I'm doing right now, I know in my mind, there's something better than this. There's always something better. And if you don't think that, then just pack it in, right? I'm not suggesting you're thinking that, Deborah, but generally speaking, people listening to the stream. So take some time to identify what would be better than that one that you just started looking at. Okay. Good. Yes. Dig your well. Good. Thank you for confirming that, Kevin. I appreciate you for being here. Good. Shame on them. Yes. Thank you, Terry. I was like, what show was that? What show was that where there was a guy that was like the yes man? I don't remember what it was. I think it was David Spade. David Spade played a yes man. Maybe that was the Coneheads. Anyway, I might have to go back and watch that. Not to get off tangent and ask what you're watching or streaming now that we've kind of watched everything there is to be watched on Netflix and other things, but something that's good for family would be great. I don't like watching the darker non-family oriented shows, but if you have a suggestion, right now we're watching Supernatural, so we're not done with that one yet, but I don't know what you guys are watching. Let's see. I could ask number one how to escalate. I have no idea who number two is. Well, that depends, right? So here's the thing. Here's the beauty of LinkedIn. There's more than one door to knock on. I think about, I don't know if you've ever watched The Matrix, but you remember how The Matrix, they had all these doors and it was like a maze, and he'd open a door and there'd be one thing in there and there'd be another. And he just kept going through the doors. And there was the key master. You remember him? The funny thing is, not that I'm trying to go down the path with movies, but the idea here is let's have an opportunity to knock on another door. Yes, follow up with one, follow up with two. If you can find out who it is, great. Sometimes the number one is a search firm, a staffing agency, and they're not going to tell you who that person is ever. So that's challenging. This is, and I had that conversation today with a fellow career coach. I won't name any names, but he and I are in agreement on this thing, on this particular issue. And it had to do with, in networking, ought I to introduce a resume or ought I not? And if I do, what does that happen? What does that offer me? And what I found is that anytime I introduce a resume, it changes the conversation. And when it changes the conversation, it also relieves you of control of the situation. And now your resume is in the world, and someone might be shopping it around to whom you don't know, and you don't control that process anymore. Okay. Not that you should, or you could, or you ought to, right? But by introducing the resume, that is already a foregone conclusion. Sorry about my alarm system in the background, if you can hear that. But here's the idea. Resume changes tenor of conversation. I would not suggest doing that, but there's always another door to be knocked on. Here's the thing. Go to LinkedIn, find that company, and see if there's 5 or 10 other people you could reach out to next week and have a conversation. Move this process forward. Learn more about the company. Identify areas of improvement for yourself. Okay. Yeah. Wouldn't you know it? UPS comes to the door during the live stream. Anyway, I'm sure that's never happened to you guys during an interview or something where, UPS or the mailman or, some solicitor comes to your front door. Of course, my home office is right next to the front door, so I should have done something about that. But anyhow, any other questions out there before I go? Happy to answer. Anybody want to come on live? There's a link in the description. We got Deborah. Deborah's had a lot of good questions today. Kevin's had some questions. Terry, of course, you're always the ace in the hole, if you know what I mean. Praveen, you're here. You could come on. Tony, you could come on. Teresa. Who else? Anybody? Nobody else wants to come on. Nobody brave enough to come on and have a conversation with me, I guess. Hey, anybody? Craig. Hey, Craig, didn't you come on last week and then bail out on me? Or did I bail out on you? I don't remember. Either way, I apologize. So Craig, if you have some questions, I'm happy to answer those. Maybe just come on live and we'll take them one at a time. You have like 3 questions here. So yes, Lori, thank you. Let me X out this one. How do I, stop sharing. There it is. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to pause this guy. Don't want to see that anymore. No, I was hoping Craig would want to come on because he's got 3 questions. Craig, you can come on. Just make sure you close. Oh yeah, that's nice. I appreciate that, Praveen. You know what? You got the stream running in the background. We're in a client meeting. Awesome. That's great. Great stuff. Well, we could also do maybe a review of a LinkedIn profile. I think that's been kind of popular. If somebody wants to go through that, I suppose. Craig, we're waiting on a phone, not able to come on. Sorry. Okay. So here's Craig's questions, and there's 3 of them. Question number 1, include mobile in LinkedIn to contact info. Yes, but I don't list my cell phone number there. I've actually procured a Google Voice number. My Google Voice number is there. So if I don't want people to contact me, they don't. Even though I have a cell phone, it's connected to my Google Voice number, and it doesn't come through unless I know who it is. Okay. And that's a layer of privacy. I could always cancel that number and people won't know how to get a hold of me. Okay. What's the second question here? Second question, you recommend posting 2 times a day, the benefit? No, I would post more than that actually. But I don't think that's engaging your network. I would post maybe once a day, comment, interact with people, have conversation, get into groups, do something. And so don't think about it in the number of posts that you do per day. I would say I would allocate time. If I could allocate time 20 minutes a day, I might post something. I might access a group and comment on something. I might give somebody a recommendation. I might provide somebody some endorsements, happy birthdays, work anniversaries, new jobs, right? I'm just going to interact with the notification bell. Okay. So I don't recommend the posting so much as the interaction and that sort of thing. Happy birthdays are also good. We talked about that just a moment ago. Question number 3, quick apply on LinkedIn. Use this option or not recommended. I think you know how I'm going to respond to the application resume, whether that's on an ATS or on LinkedIn. Tell me how I'd respond to that. I'm never going to tell you not to do it, but I'm not going to encourage you to do it either. So what I am saying is that if you're going to do easy apply on LinkedIn, don't expect any results from it unless that company uses LinkedIn as their applicant tracking system. And many of them do not. Okay. If it makes you feel better, I mean, it's not much different than what do you call it? Candy Crush. You're just, hitting the buttons, I suppose. But I really, I would really encourage you to see that opportunity, apply through the normal channels, and then don't stop there. Find somebody on the inside. Craig, I think I remember you're in sales, right? So we understand the value of lead generation and outreach and compelling conversation and knocking on doors and moving people through a funnel. These are what companies, if you're in sales, they want to see you display to them your sales skills. So anyway, on the phone, not able to come on. Okay, fun fact, I turned 13 on Friday the 13th. That's interesting. Thank you, appreciate that. I will go through a LinkedIn profile. Okay. You want me to go through your LinkedIn profile? I think we're a little short on time, but I'll take that into consideration. Let's see. Yeah. Wow, I guess you guys have a lot in common, turning 13 on Friday the 13th. That's funny. How is it possible that more than one person on this stream has a 13th as their birthday? I think that's astounding. Absolutely astounding. Okay. Well, it looks like Tracy would like us to do a profile review. So Tracy, your wish is my command. Tracy Looney. Okay, let's get to Tracy's profile. There she is. Hi, Tracy. Let's go full screen. All righty. Here we go. Sharing my screen. And let's walk through Tracy's profile. Okay, turn that on, make me small. There we go. There you go, Tracy. Let me hide that message. Sorry about that. And get rid of my graphics. There we go. All right, here's Tracy's profile. Now, when I look at the profile, first glance, I'm drawn right to this word teamwork. So what I do like about this, even though it's busy, is that I see teamwork. And so that's like an anchor. I'm going to see your face and I'm going to see teamwork. But this is a little busy. So if that was your intent, I'm also thinking here, you're an interior designer and you're working with a team to create storyboards, maybe for advertising, right? So I don't know if this is equivalent to what you're trying to accomplish, but this seems like a creative or perhaps, creative. This seems creative. So if you're trying to communicate creative in terms of industry and teamwork, you've done that. If that was your intent, then that worked. Okay. Now the photograph, I think I have issue with because LinkedIn allows you to have a 400 pixel by 400 pixel, I think 8 megabyte file. Why is that even important? Well, that's a high resolution image. This that I'm seeing here is not a high resolution image. My guess is probably 25K. So we would expect something a little more high quality here. Outdoors is good. Your face, though, doesn't have much light on it. So I would look at something improving that would be really helpful to you. Okay. Something current, something a little more professional. Think interview ready. Is this the type of presence you want to have known when you show up to the interview? Is this what you look like now? Okay. So that's something to think about. Now, I think it's great that you have your certifications on the end. That's great. Program manager, project manager, customer experience, process improvement, sales operations. Okay. So sales operations, customer experience. So this sounds to me, I now have to put things together. Okay. Are you a director, senior director, VP, individual contributor? I'm not getting an indicator of the target here. Now, the nice thing is LinkedIn has expanded the length of the headline. It's now 200 and something characters. Okay. So you could put more brand here. I'm seeing keywords. That's great. And that's what I advocate, but you need a little bit of brand and you need a title or level so that people know what level you are in the organization. Okay. Highlights. That's good. About, let's see what we got here. Okay. LinkedIn provides you 2,600 characters for this section. Why do I bring that up? You're only using about 200. So you're only using about 10% of what's available. That means I could add a lot more content here. Use your imagination. Over and above keywords, you could talk about your brand. What is it you bring? So you say proven. Okay, what does that mean? Prove it. This section exists for that reason. This is where you can prove it. Now below this should be the featured section. I'm not seeing here a featured section. Featured section is where you share articles. You've already got some activity here. Okay, so let's look at your activity right quick. See if you have any articles. Okay, nothing to see. Tracy has not written any articles. So I would produce an article around what? Program management, customer experience, sales operations. Do I have some subject matter expertise I can share? An after action review on a project. I could write an article about that. What about posts? Okay. Last post you made was yesterday, was sharing somebody else. That's good. Good thoughts. Great resources. Okay. So here's the thing. I really appreciate that you're sharing other people's things. LinkedIn, as far as I know, gives preference to own created content. So that means I would, instead of sharing other people's things, create my own. Take a look and link to Yad's article, but create your own post. Yes, or your own article. Okay, then you can share that on your profile page. Where would that appear? That would appear right below your about section. It's called featured. You could share articles, content. You can share PowerPoints. There's all kinds of things you could share. Activity, this is good. You've got that rocking. Keep that going. Experience. Here's the challenge I have. When I do a search When I do a search in LinkedIn Recruiter, it shows me title at company, freelance global program manager, and it shows me nothing else. Okay. And then that says that's your current role. And then it shows this one and this one. Here's the challenge. Look how many lines you have by default here. 4. In the first role and experience, you haven't even filled out a description and there's no logo. This is a challenge. Okay. I would be honest about your status and just keep this as your first role and experience. Don't think you have to have this here because LinkedIn says so. You don't. Okay. Now, unless you're going to start a business as a freelancer, then I would create a business. I would say, Looney Consulting Inc., right? Doing these kind of things, and I would have a fully filled out section that talks about the current and future me right here. Okay. But that's probably not your intent. I could be wrong. You're just trying to fill a space that LinkedIn says you should have something current. Okay. The problem I have with that is that it's LinkedIn in a lot of ways through the dashboard, and their encouragement for you to achieve all-star status is preying on insecurity. And I don't like that. That's my personal opinion. Your mileage might vary, but I don't think it's relevant to have that here. Now, yes, I recognize you've been out since January. Guess what? You're not alone. Okay. You are not alone. I know people that were out in January, were in the final round of interviews, expecting an offer when the pandemic hit. Okay. And they were out actually longer than January. So keep that in mind. You're not alone. Okay. Now you have a lot of exceptional experience at Dell. Business operations, 2000. Okay. So here's the thing. We would advocate that at some point you might want to eliminate Emerson, right? Because that's going back too far. More isn't always better. And so if there's something you're trying to accomplish, make sure that it's clear what your brand is among all of these different things. Okay. And I'm seeing a lot of infrastructure management, business operations, and IT services. If that's the case, what do you do in that domain that's extremely good and awesome and special? Think about it from a brand perspective. How do you want to be known in the marketplace? Okay. Business message related support. 3.8. What's the 3.8? I don't know what that is. Is that the Richter scale? Is that the the earthquake that was created because of your awesomeness? Anyway, I'm sure that's GPA. I'm just kidding you. But if you have this information here, I'd probably put some descriptors down here, outlining some of the other things you did in school, perhaps, but that's probably been a while ago. That's fine. Licenses and certifications. This is all good. But this one's interesting. Dell's social media and brand certifications. Why would you have that on here? Because I'm thinking IT operations, business management. This seems out of alignment with your brand. So if you can bring some clarity to that, that would be great. Okay, so you've been doing some volunteering. Here's the cool part about volunteering, Tracy, is dates are optional. Okay. So if you're not doing this anymore, even though you did it for 16 years, I would just take the dates out. And then I would make sure that you're using keywords and information here about that are aligned with your brand. Okay. So if you were doing PTO fundraising and you want to get into nonprofit development fundraising, then that's accurate. Good. So this one doesn't have dates, but I can assure you there's a Girl Scout organization. So if I type in here, Girl Scout, I think you'll see there's Girl Scouts USA right here, Girl Scout Network. So those are companies. Okay. And if it's in Girl Scouts of Texas, Girl Scouts of Central, Southwest, North Texas, there is a logo that should be here to add, what would it be called? Legitimacy. And if we're talking Round Rock ISD, look at that. There's a company here for that. So just like I have on my profile, Beaverton School District, that's the same deal. Shoreline Church. I wonder if they have a page here. I don't guess. Yeah, they don't. That's fine. Online moderator. Okay, so this might be a leadership presentation. Okay. Now I know it's a church and you may not want to share on LinkedIn because it is a professional space. anything related to religion or that sort of thing. I think I've taken that off of my profile, if I remember right. But so I would position this for leadership and that sort of thing. And I see that you're in recovery operations. That's fine. I think that's valid. That's good stuff. I mean, you're giving back to the community. That's what that's intended to be. So let's check out skills. Looks like you got a lot of skills. They don't appear to be prioritized. They're prioritized by endorsement. So if I were you, I would audit this list. You have a lot of skills. Decide which ones you want to use moving forward and that align with your target titles and companies. Because there may be some skills here that are either things you don't want to do anymore or aren't relevant to your future. Okay. Good job on recommendations. Interests. Let's see how many companies you're following. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. You're good on companies. Follow your companies. What about groups? 5. You're in less than 10 groups. Okay, so not that that's bad. I would probably actively participate in 2 or 3 groups. And if you're in project management, have your PMP, then it makes sense that you would be part of that. So be active there, absolutely. But I would join more groups that have hiring managers in them. How do I find hiring managers? Look on LinkedIn. What would be the title of the person that is your peer and one step above? What groups are they in? Okay, that's what I'd be looking for. Let's look at the also viewed. Also viewed. This is just a barometer, a litmus test on whether or not you have or are displaying your brand as you want it to be. Okay. Global program manager. Okay. That sounds consistent. Electrical engineer student. Interesting. Senior program manager. That's in alignment. Program manager. Inside regional sales. Leasing manager. That's interesting. SVP global channel sales. Building a new career. This is exactly what we should avoid. Just saying. It's great that you're building a new career. That's a circumstance. It's not a brand. Commercial, legal, contract manager, program. Okay. So this is pretty good. I mean, this is a good indicator you're in the right ballpark. Why? Because if recruiters are doing searches for people like you, they're going to find people like you and they're going to view those profiles as well. Okay. So 500 connections. That's what we'd advocate, that you have your connections accessible for people to view. And that's all we have on that. So I might turn this off and I'm going to, in fact, I'm going to turn this off and then click contact info. Good. And you have your phone number in there. What I would recommend though, is taking your address out. I don't believe anybody should have their address on LinkedIn. It's one step to taking over your identity. It's not something I would advocate. So take your address off of LinkedIn. Okay. And you have a customized URL. Everything else looks good. Hopefully that was helpful for y'all. So maybe you got something out of that. I don't know. Anyhow, excellent. Good. It's a certification. Yeah, but is the certification, Tracy, in alignment with your brand, social media or program management, or is it sales operations, or are you in marketing, advertising? I mean, I'm trying to wrap my head around what sandbox do you play in? And right now, I'm not sure, because you have a lot of different experiences. IT services, right? Program manager infrastructure, enterprise deployment, factory integration. So I'm seeing a lot of capabilities. We all have capabilities. We need to decide, what do we want to be known for? So I could have had a profile full of sales, sales performance. I could have a sales focused profile. Why? Because I have over 30 years of sales experience. Okay. But that doesn't mean I want to be known for sales. What do I want to be known for? Leadership, training, mentoring, executive coaching, that sort of thing. That's what I want to be known for. So what is that for you? Each one of you has a choice to make there. All right. So that's all I have for today. Good. Let's see. What can give you an opportunity to pivot, Tracy? If you want to pivot, just pivot. Talking and doing two different things. You have freedom and agency. If you want to pivot, then pivot. If you don't, then don't. Maybe don't do it as an expression on LinkedIn where people might be confused about what you're seeking. Okay, people should be very clear about what sandbox you play in and what you bring to the table. Okay, and so I'm just offering suggestion based on my perception of what I see. And if I have confusion, my suspicion is other people do too. Okay, that's all. No right, no wrong. If you take it for what it's worth. And I'm hoping that added a little bit of value to everybody here today. Just a little bit. I'm gonna tap out. Nobody came into the live stream to have a chat, which was kind of sad. I was hoping somebody would. And you know, I hope you have a great weekend. We'll see you guys next Friday. Hey, by the way, I'm even thinking about coming on live day after Thanksgiving. Are you guys going to be here? Let me know, yes or no. I'm happy to be here if y'all are going to do it. Okay. Y'all. Now I'm saying y'all. I look at one profile in Texas and now I'm saying y'all. What's up with that? Anyway. All right, everybody, have a great weekend. We'll see you next Career Happy Hour. Share this out to your networks when we're gone from here. I would appreciate the exposure. That's all I ask for, really, is to gain exposure for this this particular thing. Okay. All right. Be well. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you next Friday.